deal, man. PolitiKan the Podcast. We're here with Untapped HipHop, man. They had to stop through Rigor Mortis Studio. We located in downtown San Bernardino. We got all your studio needs, podcasting, photography. We got the recording booth. We do a little bit of everything, man. Events. Tap in, man. PolitiKanBroadcastingNetworks.com. You want an interview, go through the website, schedule your interview, pull in, tap up. So introduce yourselves, man.
Yo, my name is D. Will, co-founder Untapped HipHop, out here in the great Inland Empire.
Yo, my name is Victor, also co-founder of Untapped HipHop. So yeah.
So Untapped HipHop, how did you guys come up with the concept? What was the whole motivation behind it?
Behind the name or just behind the whole
Behind the whole movement. How did you guys just say, you know what, we're going to create a hip-hop channel and magazine? It was like, how did you guys end up there?
Funny thing is, the magazine actually started off as a class project. We went to
design.
Yeah, we went to the Art Institute together before it closed down.
Okay.
One of the projects was coming up with a magazine, a digital magazine, and like great students we always procrastinate to the last minute. Went out to an event in Pomona. One of my favorite artists is out there doing his thing, Justin Moore. He was doing hip-hop caricatures of hip-hop artists like Eazy-E, Snoop Dogg. I'm like, this shit is dope, man. I want to do a magazine that's based off like fine art and hip-hop culture. And I pitched the idea to Justin. I was like, yo, let's run this for our project. You know what I mean? What you think about this? It's if we do it, went from stupid names from like hip-hop to fine art to
it was
H2FA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I fell asleep watching the History Channel one night when I woke up. It was talking about the California gold rush and how cats would sell their whole lives just to move out to the West Coast and, try to make it big on the claim. A lot of cats who moved out here, they would buy their little mines and shit, and they would dig for maybe a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, and not hit nothing. They would decide to sell off their claim to the next miner who sold their whole life to come out here. That miner, dig for a few hours and hit a vein of gold. And I was like, I never want to be that first miner. We got so much talent out here in the Inland Empire, and just people not willing to dig for it. It's not about, trying to make it off of, just a couple of days of work. You got to put in work, and you got to go out here and cultivate. You got to see who's really popping, who's really making noise and doing stuff for the community and the culture. And, that's something that we want to put a spotlight on here out here.
Definitely. That's the whole motive behind what we're doing here at Rigor Mortis. Rigor Mortis means stiffening of the body after death. So, like you were mentioning the gold rush, right now, this is the gold rush for creators.
Exactly.
There is no set way to do it. There is no set way to go viral. There is no set way to handle business in 2019 going forward. So what we created was a collaborative business model where we collaborate with as many creators as possible to try to shed light on all of our talents and all of what everybody's doing within the community. So it's basically just creating a platform for people to share their ideas and to share their creativeness.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And put their shine a spotlight on what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? Especially for the community out here in the Inland Empire. Because a lot of things that's going on in like LA County, which is an hour away, we don't have, but we have these same type of creators. We have the same type of atmosphere. We just need to buckle down and tap in with each other, you know what I'm saying?
I be telling people who ain't from California, man, if you guys want to move to California, if you're an artist and you want to move to California and you really want to test what you're made of, come to the IE. Come out here. You know what I mean? Because we got some top-notch artists just across the board, not even just hip-hop, across the board, man. And like, if you want to see how you stand up to anybody out here in the world, come to the Inland Empire and see what you can do.
Definitely.
I'll stand by that.
So, Untapped HipHop, where can people find this? Is this a weekly thing?
Uh,
How often do you guys drop content and issues?
Our magazine, we're doing quarterly right now, so we do 4 a year, and we do, actually I say we do 5 because we do a special edition each year, one without ads and just, straight art and content. Each quarter we pretty much put a shine on different elements of hip hop. So one quarter we'll focus more on graffiti, next quarter we'll focus more on the MC, quarter after that we'll focus on the b-boy, the DJ, so on and so forth. But it's not just about the 4 elements. We also want to focus on just art inspired by hip hop culture. So I'll be telling people, if y'all out there baking some hip hop cupcakes, holler at us because we want to put some shine on. I definitely like eating cupcakes. As you can see, I'm a big fella.
So what is your relationship? You guys met at the Art Institute? That was the beginning of it?
Yeah, like I think it was like back in, my first year going there was spring of April 2012. I remember vividly meeting D. Will at it was one of the break rooms, and we just kind of chopped up a little bit, and we exchanged our names. I didn't anticipate maybe I'll see him once in a blue moon. End up having one of my first classes with him at the first quarter there attending was perspective. End up having him there, and we just kept going there. I think it was after perspective class we tried to do a life drawing club. We went to that one.
Yeah.
And that became too overwhelming for me. So as far as that, we just went from class to class, and then fast forward, we just became good friends. And yeah.
Pretty much, right?
So are you guys the only 2 behind Untapped HipHop? Is there more of a nucleus, or is it just you guys running?
It started off as 3 of us. We had, it was me, it was Vector, it was the homie Furman. Furman, he had his own things he wanted to take care of, so he's like, what, if you want to go and do that, handle business, door's always open for you when you come back. For the most part, it's been us too. But every time we interview somebody, every time we meet somebody new, it's like, we let them know. It's like, you need anything from us, holler at us, we do what we can. And it's always been likewise, The Dope Spot Studios out in Pomona, they've been holding us down to shoot our interviews. Serious Cartoon Records, when we need a venue out here, if an artist can't, make it out to Pomona, we'd be like, can we shoot something out here at Serious Cartoon? And Phantom and Gilead's been real cool with us shooting over there.
And even in special cases, I live in the high desert, but if some at past events, when D. Will would make a trip to the high desert, Matt Studios as well too.
Konami Hami out there, doing his thing. Konami Hami, 1919, A-Kane out there holding down the high desert. So yeah.
Well, so y'all tapped in everywhere.
We're trying to.
We're trying. All over the Inland Empire, y'all everywhere.
Biggest county in the world, bro.
So how long has this been going? You guys are what, 4 years in?
2016.
Yep.
Fall 2016.
I think I want to say 2015 because that's when we held our first event. So
you're correct.
So
my apologies.
Yeah, next year will be our 5th year anniversary.
Oh man, so y'all rolling, man. I know I'm about rolling into 2 years into this. I know the first year was I was counting. At this point, I don't even count the days no more.
Man.
You just gotta keep it pushing, man.
Shit starts blurring together after a while, you know what I mean? It's only count the big years, the 3rd, the 5th, the 10th, and whatever you want to count.
Yeah, I'm really just waiting to look up at my 5th year and see where I'm at, because I started a podcast. Within 6 months, I got a studio. Within a year, I was getting 8,000 to 10,000 listens of episode. Within 1 year, I got my press credentials, and I was starting to cover different events.
Yeah.
And now like a year and a half in, I'm starting to get my studio together.
That's just a good feeling,
though,
right?
So
once that snowball start happening, that shit feels good, right?
Exactly. So I'm kind of settled in. One thing that my girl brother said to me, and which I seen to not really think about, was he told me like you don't really understand your sphere of influence. Like, so a lot of people that's being influenced by you. It's a lot of people that you're touching that because you're so genuine and pure about your intentions, you don't really stop to think about all the people's lives that you're affecting in a positive manner. You know what I'm saying? And I get so stuck in the grind and stuck in the ups and downs that I had to sit back and realize that I need to enjoy this because the road and the struggles is the testimony, you know what I'm saying? And that's what makes it all worthwhile, you know what I'm saying?
It's crazy when you take that time to stop and you look back and you're like, I came a far ass way. You know what I mean?
Every day I walk into this studio and I look and I'm just like, damn. Like when we got this studio, if you look at it now, there was no paint on the walls, there was no baseball, it was concrete floors. We literally built this shit from scratch with our own hands. Every piece of construction you see in here, we did ourselves. We put the money up, we put our own hands, sweat, blood, and tears into this motherfucker. So when I come in here, it's like, damn, like, manifestation is real. You see it, you believe it, and you achieve it. It's really that simple. But you have to see it in your mind first. You have to believe that it's possible, and then you have to be diligent enough to work at it no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And manifestation is, it's very simple if you follow that mode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I ain't gonna front. There was times where I would, I guess, question what I was doing. You know what I mean? Not because I didn't like what I was doing, not because it wasn't profitable. It was just like, can I make this happen as a person? You know what I mean? And is it possible? Because you know, it's like I come from. I'm a millennial, but like the generation before us, where the way I grew up was like, you know, you had to be, you know, a doctor, you had to be a lawyer if you wanted to be, you know, big time or something. And that's always something that I was like, okay, if I can't do that, I'm just gonna be working in you know, the trenches and shit. You know, be working in fucking sewers and cleaning shit. You know what I'm saying? And like, just like you said, the way things have changed today, if you have a fucking phone in your hand, you can make something happen. You know, everybody has a camera nowadays. If you want to sit down and start a YouTube channel, you got a phone, you can do it all. You know what I mean? It's just out there being willing to put yourself out there, being a genuine person. You know what I mean? Because I'm a big believer. You know, people are attracted to genuineness the way moths are attracted to light. So if you shine it, you know, people will see and they'll move towards you. They'll see what you're doing, and that's how you affect a lot of people out there. You know what I mean?
When you say in the trenches, like, I feel that completely because I was homeless. I moved into a room for rent. Was spinning my wheels trying to find a job when I caught a gun charge, 3 felonies at 17. So I couldn't find a legal job for about a good 5 years where I just couldn't get hired, you know what I'm saying? So then I ended up finally getting a job at the new Under Armour warehouse in Rialto, right when they built it.
I know where that is.
I was supposed to come back the next day with my 2 forms of ID, and I lost my wallet on the bus. And I literally had like a mental breakdown, went crazy, like punching shit, and broke my hand punching shit. So then I was in the cast for 6 months, and right when I got the cast off, the homie got me plugged into a plumbing company. Now, when I got hired with the plumbing company, I was basically like the only black person on the job site. 500 people working. So then, of course, they gave me all the grunt work. So for like my first, I would say 6 months, all I did was stand out there in dirt and dig trenches. And digging trenches literally is what got me out of the hole and put me in a position to start moving towards my goal. And digging trenches got me here. You know what I'm saying? So when niggas say they started in the trenches, I literally started in the trenches.
The grimiest shit, if you could go through the grimiest shit you know, you could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing freelance construction, you know, carrying fucking concrete hoses around back. This when I graduated high school, because I wasn't the sharpest knife in the box. So, you know, I started off doing grunt work, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of construction-based jobs, a lot of moving cars for small dealerships and shit. So it's like, you know, you get into a mindset, you know, and it's hard to get out of that mental prison.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take the time to really believe in yourself and yourself as a creator and someone who can actually produce something that you think people will appreciate, that's the biggest freedom you can have as a person. You know what I mean? It's just like we build these prisons in our head because we think this is what we're only good at. And, you know, I thought I was only good at moving concrete hoses and fucking moving cars at one point, you know? So it's like, yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that as well, because, like, at the time, like, I was working at Walmart. I was, for lack of a better word, comfortable where I was. And I had a lot of fear in terms of, like, my art. Like, I knew I could draw. I knew I could do something creative, but I always had that fear. And a lot of that was, like you mentioned, you know, that mental prison. And one person that definitely helped me break out of that prison, or I would say he was very responsible in terms of me just, you know, conquering my fear and just being more disciplined. I consider him my older brother is Chris Myers. He was the one that, for lack of a better word, woke me up out of that mentality, where instead of like, I can't. Because one example was, like, I used to tell him, like, oh, I have this learning disability. Oh, it's because of this learning disability. It's because of this, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually one day he's like, hey, do you believe that? And I was like, what do you mean? Do you believe you have a learning disability? Like, do you actually believe that? And I was like, oh, honestly, like, I mean, I question it. And he's like, okay, well, if you question it, that's bullshit. So after that, something just kind of clicked, and I was like, you know what? It is bullshit. And so eventually I stopped blaming certain individuals where I felt that they failed me. So I was like, I started going with the approach like, okay, well, if I don't know this, then I'm going to teach myself this. If I don't know our history, well, then it's my duty to find out that history and start reading this books. Like I start reading, like, you know, Nat Turner. Just really don't know anything.
I don't know nothing about Nat Turner. And Nat Turner story is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Garvey guy, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Marcus Garvey is probably my biggest influence as far as my mind state and approach. But when you talk about that, I was thinking, have you ever heard of something called self-actualization? So it's a process of just, to know where you're going, you got to know how you got here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really just a process of evaluating all your major decisions in your life, but removing everybody else and just looking at why you made the decisions you made without, or you be like, okay, well, I did that because he did that. No, you got to remove them and only realize. And when I self-actualized, I realized that 3 things made me move. It was anger, spite, and desperation. So when I sat back and I looked at where I was at in my life, it's because all the decisions that I made were off of anger, spite, or desperation, which all pushed me towards a paradigm or a life that I don't want. So once I realized that and I actualized, I had to realize that no longer will I make any decisions when I'm angry. I gotta let shit go. I can't be spiteful. I can't hold on to anger. And desperation, with my back against the wall, I got to sit down and come up with a firm plan to get myself out of these holes instead of jumping at the first thing that I think would alleviate the stress.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing that led me to that was crazy. I was watching The Matrix, the second one. And yeah, and Neo, they're looking for the key maker. And they go to the Merovingian, and they're like, we need the key maker. And the key maker is like, the Merovingian is, why you need the key maker? And he's like, cause the Oracle said we need the keymaker, and he's like, you guys don't know why, and he busts down and start breaking down causality, which is causation. He's like, understanding why is the true power in life. Understanding why things occur and why things happen puts you in a power place. And he's just telling them, like, if you don't understand why you're doing something, you're a sheep.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then I had to sit back and I had to break that. That woke me up. That was my awakening point. It was like, you know what? If I don't understand why I'm doing something, then I have no business in doing that.
That's y'all.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
Fuck, movies was dope back
I know.
I watched that movie like 10 times while everyone was like shitting on it. But I was analyzing the message and the meanings behind it.
For real. And then when he met the architect.
Yep.
Just that
made everybody angry.
But the architect told him, like, what people don't understand is paradigms and paradoxes. So a paradigm is kind of like your life is a continuous motion until it ends. So it's called a trajectory.
Yeah.
And different paradoxes are different life-changing moments that if you attack them in the right way, it can send you on a positive trajectory. And if you make the wrong decisions, it can send you on a negative trajectory. And that's what I had to realize was out of anger, spite, and desperation, I kept sending myself on a negative trajectory. So then when I'm down here and I realize I'm down here, I want to blame him, I want to say he did me wrong. When in reality, it was my own decision making that kept sending me down there. So,
I think that's hard for a lot of people to accept.
To be real with themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like that was probably the hardest thing, was getting out of your own way. Self-sabotage is not the only way, man. And as black people, we practice so much self-sabotage. That we walk around with this, I wish a nigga would do something to me because I'm ready to self-sabotage at any moment. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of a crazy mindset that we carry ourselves in. But it's a defense mechanism that we have to learn to get out of. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's crazy, man. The different things you can learn when you actually start to tap into your own mental capacities. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy because I feel like we're in a culture where people want to learn so much about other peoples and other cultures that we're neglecting to sit down and figure out our culture and who we are as people.
And that's why the concept of Wakanda was so big in Black Panther, because
I still haven't seen it.
The concept, for me, if you look at Black Panther, man, I liked it for the culture, for the black people, showing black people collaborating, but it was a lot of problems that I had with Black Panther. The first problem that I had is that the mainstream media always wants to emasculate the black man. So when you have a character like Killmonger, and then you have T'Challa, Killmonger is a clear alpha male, and T'Challa is a clear beta male. And white media will always show us that the beta male is supposed to be the leader of the black man, and the black alpha male is a criminal and the enemy of the state. You know what I'm saying? That's their worst fear, is that black alpha male, asserting itself, because that's something that they know they can't handle. That's why they endorsed Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They was like, hell nah, you know what I'm saying?
Malcolm X was one of my heroes.
Exactly. Like a Nat Turner, they would be like, hell nah, you know what I'm saying? Because the black alpha male is emasculated. They want us to believe that our leaders need to be these beta males that are going to bridge the gap between the white community and the black community, instead of the alpha males building something solely for the black community. And then they kind of took the story of Shaka Zulu and made it into the character of Killmonger. Now, if you're familiar with Shaka Zulu, when the white people started to colonize Africa, Shaka Zulu went to different tribes and said, hey, we need to unite so that we can hold our ground against the colonizers. And a lot of tribes was like, no. So then Shaka Zulu was basically like, well, it's going to be get down or lay down because we can't let these niggas come. So y'all either going to get down with us or we're going to eliminate the niggas that's not getting down because we got to hold our own, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why Africa wasn't fully colonized is because of Shaka Zulu. I forget, it was 13 tribes that fled Shaka Zulu and went up into the mountains. I forgot, I can't really think of the story right now, but they literally took the story of Shaka Zulu and those 13 tribes, flipped it, and turned it into Wakanda. Yep. So this is actually, and then when they do something, they talk about what's the shit called?
Vibranium?
Vibranium. Now, if you ever heard of coltan, coltan is a mineral that absorbs and redistributes energy. And this is what they're using in lithium batteries. They're raping the Congo right now for coltan. And this is, we have lithium batteries in everything. Our cell phones wouldn't be possible without coltan. The recharging the battery is the coltan that's retransferring the energy within the lithium battery. So they literally took a mineral that's real and changed it into a fictional thing. And they're literally still raping the Congo right now and still colonizing Africa for coltan. Right. And as black people, we need to realize that this shit is real. When are we gonna stop looking at Wakanda and actually build Wakanda? Right. Because the motherland has everything we need. Akon is
he's from Senegal, right?
Exactly, and he's been investing in Africa and building power plants and water plants. And like I said, I'm a Garveyite. Every other country, like let's say I'm an Asian, I can come over here to America, get loans from an American bank, and go back home to China and get loans from a Chinese bank. So that's one thing that we don't realize is that all these foreigners are coming over here with foreign loans from foreign banks to start businesses in America. And then you wonder how the Indians got the liquor stores and the Asians got the nail shops, and because they have these banks back home that they can tap into to get money. White people have the banks within America to get money. Because there is no banking system in Africa, there is nowhere for us to run to get money. There is no seed money. The system is not built for us. Yeah. So we need to build up Africa and build up our own resources so that we can tap into our African resources at will, just like every other member of America does. You know what I'm saying? And people don't see it or view it that way. You can take $1 million and invest it in Africa and make $20 million providing power for somebody. But instead, niggas will buy a vendor door, or niggas will pull out the new Ghost. You know what I'm saying? Niggas will, I mean, I got jewelry on. I'm guilty of it too.
We all definitely guilty of it. But it's like I've always been the type of person to live within my means. You know what I mean? I've never been someone who's like, okay, I made $100, but let me go spend 99 of that on, something dumb. I'm always someone who's like, because I grew up, obviously, not obviously, but I grew up in a split household. And, I'm always moving back and forth between my mom and dad. And it's like we never had too much at any given point. So, like, I've always been in that mindset. Whatever I make, I need to make sure it's going to last me. And if I can, have it last for my family, but I'm no longer here. So, like, I never really understood I get it, like, the jewelry thing, flex and power, king shit, you know what I mean? But it's like, I don't need it, bro. Just give me a watch, give me some pair of glasses, I'm good to go. All I gotta do is tell time and see.
We all wear glasses here. Right? I couldn't survive without these.
I'm blind.
Without these.
Hey, man, especially at nighttime. The freeway like this. That's when I realized I needed glasses. I was driving. I used to work nights, so I used to get off at like 3, 4 in the morning, and I would be driving on the freeway, and I'm like, am I just super tired, or can I not see? And you know, and after about 3 months of thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm not tired today, and I still can't see, so let me go get a check.
Get my eyes checked real quick. Yeah, man.
So the 2020 election is coming up, man. Who's your guys' candidate, man?
I don't vote, man. Like,
You don't
I
vote?
vote in local elections.
Okay, I'm on the same point.
Yeah.
I do vote, but last time it was Hillary and Trump that I couldn't vote for neither one. So I skipped the presidential election. I'm not voting. I can't be. I'm anti-Hillary. But I'm not gonna be the nigga that voted for Trump.
You ain't rocking your Make America Great Again yet.
You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't do neither. So I decided to sit it out. So right now, man, it's Elizabeth Warren, followed by Joe Biden, followed by Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Those are the three.
I thought Bernie Sanders was like the big.
No. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders was kind of a front runner.
So he got that heart attack.
He was a front runner, him and Kamala Harris, and then Joe Biden threw his name into the hat. And then everybody was like, oh, he gonna make Obama his vice president, which we know was bullshit. Cause if you knew Obama told Biden, like, don't run against this nigga, you're stupid. Don't do it, you know what I'm saying? So it was, but Obama didn't even want you running in the first place. He's really not going to endorse you. So you haven't seen, that's one thing that Biden has been failing, is that there hasn't been no Obama endorsement. You know what I'm saying? If Obama came out and said, yeah, get my nigga Biden in there, his trajectory would be way higher than what it was. But because he came out and Obama ain't said nothing on his behalf, you know.
His numbers are dropping.
That's why I only mess with hometown elections, because I always believe you have to start off where you're from. You know, make your home good before you start trying to make everything else around it good. So like, I live in Fontana. Fontana, you know, it's not. There's areas there that really need help. So I'm like, let me focus on that before I start focusing on all these bigger elections. Because to be real with you, like, remember that time when Obama came to San Bernardino after the shootings? All they did was fix up East Street. You know, it was like, like they repaved East Street for Obama, and that's it. And I'm like, I mean, if y'all did that for Obama, y'all could have just, you know, fixed up a lot more just for the community.
A lot more.
But if you look at San Bernardino, it's about the corruption. The city council, man, they were stealing money for like 20 years and bankrupt the country. And then they got the relief fund and stole that too.
We were in a few of those meetings when we were doing our first event. We went through the city. We were looking for a grant through the art. I forgot the name. The Fine Art Committee, Fine Art Council, and we sat in on one of the mayor meetings, just like get an idea what's going on and see what how I guess the process works on doing these types of things. And like people were upset with the mayor at the time. And I feel bad for this cat over here because his last name Valdivia, and everybody thought he was related to him.
And then I actually met that cat, and then I looked at him, and he just the body language that I peeped in what he was doing. Like I looked at him and was like, nah, just get away from me.
So have you heard of the new problem going on with city council? They got a new budget, and they allotted funds. They gave all these funds to the police department. And then they made cuts on different. They made pay cuts on different positions within the city government. And then they petitioned and fought it and got their wages reinstated. So now they allotted the money over here, took it from them, but now they want their money back. So now you can't take the money back from them. And court said you gotta pay them their money. So now you like, they fucked up the money again, man. Like, it's crazy, man.
It's that crackhead mentality, bro. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like,
it's a mess right now.
Yeah, I don't think that paying a police force is the answer, man. They think that more police.
They have a fucking tank.
Is the answer to shit in San Bernardino.
San Bernardino has a tank.
They're saying that it's not safe because we don't have enough police units. It's not safe because we don't have nothing to fucking do. There is nothing to do. It's a Friday night. Everything closed at fucking 7 o'clock. So what do you think all these young motherfuckers that's been going to school for fucking 5 days a week and they finally got the weekend off, what do you think they want to do, sit in the house? No, they don't want to fucking sit in the house, so they go out in the streets and come up with their own shit to do. It's just a lack of resources for the youth out here, man.
There's no helping small businesses grow. There's no there's a community here, but it's nobody's. What's that old saying? Everybody wants to make change, but nobody wants to break their 20. You know what I mean? It's like you said, stepping back and seeing, the choices you make. I feel like as a community, we got to sit back and figure out our choices that we make. We can go out there and be up to no good, or we can, that shop that closes at 7 o'clock. Why don't we support them before 7 o'clock? You know what I mean? Let's go out there and show some support, at 6:30.
But for us, we're the hip hop community, and I feel like we get the biggest backlash in San Bernardino whenever we try to do something because they feel like hip hop is just gonna bring murder
and violence.
You know what I'm saying? Oh no, they're doing hip hop, somebody's gonna die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's different types of hip hop. There's different elements of hip hop. There's different vibrations that come from those different elements.
Yeah.
So if we're not tapping into the gangster vibration, then we're not tapping into the element that you think hip hop is. And a lot of these outsiders looking in, they're not familiar with different styles or genres within the hip hop community.
Yeah.
So they thinking rap is just rap, and we rapping about killing niggas and fucking each other bitches, and you know what I'm saying, hanging on the block with 15 guns.
Sure.
But at the same time, that's what we glorify.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The videos with bitches shaking ass and niggas with 10 guns in it is the videos that get 50 million views. You know what I'm saying?
You can't shoot 10 guns.
If that conscious video or that song got the 50 million views, then we would change the perception.
Different story.
Exactly.
I think it's that media mind state. You know what I mean? Like there's so many dope artists. Who brought it up? Cardi B back in the day or something. I guess I forgot who said something about female rappers always talking about fucking and stripping. I think she said something was like, well, these artists who ain't rapping about it ain't getting the views that we're getting, so I mean, you show support to those artists, then you'll get more of that. I mean, but it's just the way media broadcasts the culture. They want to portray. That's another way to keep us in a certain place, in a certain box. You know what I mean? So make your money, go out there, buy guns, bitches, and drugs. You know what I mean? They don't want you going out there to invest and cultivate and create a community.
But as far as black people, we gotta stop looking for a handout. If you want to change our community, we gotta change our community.
Definitely, I definitely agree with you.
Like Tupac said, we gotta change the way we eat. We gotta change the way we treat each other. Those are the two biggest things. The way we eat, man, is killing us, man. We eat terribly, and we don't care about our health, man. And I know as slaves we were fed the scraps and the bullshit, so we become accustomed
to
eating the bullshit.
The one food item I feel like should have died with slavery is chitlins. I don't understand how that shit made it out of slavery.
We're coming on the holidays again, so you already know. I been to my grandma's house and chitlins just cooking on the stove. I can't lie, man. I used to eat them, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't know what they was at the
You
time.
didn't care. You know, you just was like, okay, I see niggas eating.
Like, when you find out what them shits is,
You're like,
you gotta clean them like for 10 hours just to get the shit out of the intestines.
well, you gotta put bleach or something. You ain't supposed to eat that shit, though.
yeah.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pig feet and
Yeah.
all that other weird shit.
All the pork.
I don't know, man.
I'm not saying. If you look at African tribes, a lot of them survive off fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables.
Yep.
You know, they eat meat sparingly.
Yeah, because you gotta think about it. Like, tribes that hunt and gather, they're not always successful at hunting. You know what I mean? So you gotta make sure you have other foods plentiful, like grains, fruits, vegetables, things like that, just in case, you know.
I couldn't get that pig.
Hey, it was too quick for me this time.
You know
So
what I'm saying?
yeah, you know, like usually a lot of different tribes around the world, meat is something that is, you know, special occasion type of stuff, because you never know when it's coming in, so you gotta, your resources come through like carbohydrates and shit. I've been plant-based for the past going on 10 years now.
Yeah, because the USDA, man, I think they finna okay clone me.
Yup.
They're
Yeah.
on the verge of okaying clone me. And then it doesn't have to say clone me.
You know why though, right? It's because of that whole that Mission to Mars thing that's going on. You can't really bring livestock with you to Mars, so you got to have something, a protein source. Which I don't know why they don't use soy-based proteins or something, but you know, niggas got to have their meat.
So they literally gonna start cloning animals and then selling the meat as if it's not cloned.
Not cloned.
Then they gonna start cloning people, and then those people
I
ain't acting right.
I used to eat tilapia, and now I looked at that like that's a
man-made
man-made
fish.
That's a man-made fish. Like that's crazy. I would never touch a piece of tilapia again.
You'd be surprised how much man-made stuff is out. Man-made animals.
Yeah, it's like how are you creating fish and then farming them and then
Cows, pigs, I want to say chickens aren't native to America. Them shits was brought here from Europe. Those are European animals that were brought to America. There are more cows in America than there are people. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't want to get on my soapbox right now, but you know,
get on
like
conspiracy theories.
Not even conspiracy theories. These are facts. It's like it's like the amount of land that we use to feed one cow or a farm of cows you can use to feed the country. You know what I mean? It's crazy. 90% of our grains go to feeding livestock. You know what I mean? About I want to say about 75% of water used that said we're always in a drought and shit. That shit goes to livestock, bro. It's like if you cut back on the amount of meat you eat, you know, maybe by a day, you can save so much of the environment just by doing that. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You know, and it's niggas is talking about. Every time I go on Instagram, niggas is talking about how the rainforest is burning down. It's burning down because they're building more land for farms. You know what I mean?
That's soil.
Yeah.
That soil is something that they can't duplicate.
Nah.
So instead of, it was like they showed that in Avatar. It's like, you know what, we're gonna come and kill all these blue Avatar motherfuckers so that we can take the land because we need it for our livestock.
Exactly.
And it's crazy how they made a whole epic movie, the biggest grossing movie in the world at the time. Avengers just beat it. And they had to relaunch Avengers to beat it.
Yeah, break that record.
You know, but before this was the biggest movie in the world about how they destroyed the world so that they could cultivate it for livestock.
Exactly, man.
And it's crazy, man. Like, people don't... One thing that, like, when I go to the movies with my girl, I remember the first time we came out the movies, and I forgot what movie it was, and I asked her, so what was the moral of the story? And she looked at me like, what?
Stories have morals?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just watched the movie.
We watched the movie.
And now, she comes out, and as soon as she's like, okay, well, they was telling us this, and they was teaching us this, and now, because I got her paying attention to what they're trying to tell you through the movie instead of paying attention to the action. Because there's always a moral to the story. And you got to tap into that, man, and figure out what they're trying to sell you and what dogma they're trying to put into your mind. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man.
Hell yeah, but shout out to next event and your upcoming things before we get out of here.
Oh, man. You want to go for it or you want me to have it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Untapped HipHop. You know, we always doing. We do our annual event. We just did our last one about 2 weeks ago. Street Glyphics. We're working on Street Glyphics 2020 right now. Today we hosting a cipher over at the Dope Spot in Pomona. Got Zen Soul coming through. Sandy D Mine, Dan Ganja, Shaka D Cakes. You know, some big hitters out here in the IE. You know, and you know, some young up and comers. And you know, we always doing our thing. Untapped Hip Hop on YouTube, Untapped Hip Hop on the IG, across the board, Twitter. We also started the TikToks, so you know we doing our old man thing on the young social media. So
yeah, I'm on TikTok too. It's a little different.
Yeah.
We're still working on the documentary with that's currently dubbed the history of hip hop in the IG. That's a working title.
Okay, that's big.
Got a lot of OGs
can't wait
on
to see that one.
Yeah, that one's been. We've learned so much about just the IE doing this project, and it's crazy, and it's been an experience, and we want to do something right, so we don't want to half-ass this one.
For sure. Well, PolitiKan the Podcast, man. We out on everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play. PolitiKanBroadcastingNetworks.com. Tap in for the blog, all the content. You want to schedule an interview, hit the website. Untapped HipHop, man. Thank y'all for joining us.
No doubt. Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Tap in. Let's politic.